What is going on, everyone? And welcome in to another episode of Expected Bets for your go-to podcast for all things hockey betting. I am Gator Betting and joined by only one of my co-hosts today, Bets. He's got some obligations. So, Franco, how are we doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. End of the week, so I'm ready to get into the slate. Watching this Global Series game. It's been a pretty damn good game, I guess, if you like overs.
Yeah, very
Seems a
eventful
little
for
one-sided
overs.
though.
Exactly. Yeah, I've had that in the Breeders' Cup on all day. So nice little gambling action on to start your weekend off. Let's go with
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Yeah, Breeders' Cup tomorrow too as well. So just a fantastic weekend of sports. But 6 game slate today. Obviously, the first game already started with the Global Series. That one was early at 2 p.m. The Panthers currently lead that one 6-2. Franco, I think you posted a few bets for that one earlier, and I think you did pretty well.
Yeah, I'm still sweating out a few. At least I'm hoping to hit at least a couple more. There's like 8 minutes left, but yeah, hit Essa Lindell goal, which was plus 1400, which was pretty sweet,
That's
and
incredible.
Anton Lundell goal at plus 400 and his point at plus 120. So good start. I'd like to hit a couple more before this is over, though. We got some time.
Yeah. Build that bankroll up for tonight's slate. So 5 games tonight, starting at 7 and going to 9. But with the first game up on the board, let's get into that. We have the Ottawa Senators traveling to New York to take on the Rangers. The Rangers are the home favorites in this one, minus 192. Total set at 6.5. Juice the under at minus 115. I'm looking at goalies right now. It looks like it's going to be Allmark and Shesterkin in net for each side. Franco, we'll start with you here. Any plays? New York's kind of hasn't been fantastic as of late, right? They've lost 2 of their last 3. Ottawa, same boat, losing 2 of their last 3 as well. Allmark has been good as of late for the Senators. Allowed 1 goal in his last start against St. Louis, and then came in for relief against Colorado and allowed no goals on 2 shots. Before that, he did allow 5 against Vegas. So, interesting matchup. Not sure. Shesterkin, 4-3-2 in his last 3 starts.
Yeah, I know, right?
Not
It's
great.
not
But
great.
yeah, any plays for you here?
This one, I think, feels like a Rangers bounce back spot. I know Ottawa had a pretty good game against the Blues the other day, just dominating them. But Rangers coming off a bad loss to the Capitals, pretty much outplayed the whole game, losing 5-3. So expect the better team to win here, especially at home. So I want to mainly lean Rangers props here. The one I had circled as far as probably like the best value, I would say, especially given like the history between these teams and these players in particular, is Zibanejad and Kreider point parlay. That's
Oh,
plus 168 for that. So I mean, Kreider you can bet straight at minus 120, but really want to get involved with Zibanejad as well. I know they haven't really, that line hasn't been like carrying this team. It's been like the young guys really. It's been Kako and Cooley and Hedel actually. So
wow.
they're getting a lot of depth scoring right now from this team. But just given like the historical numbers here, I mean, Panarin kills this team too, 14 points in his last 8. But Zibanejad 10, include which 9 of those are assists. So 9 assists in his last 8 against Ottawa, and then Kreider's more split up, 5 goals, 4 assists in his last 8. So, they're kind of correlated together. So I want to be involved. Obviously, I know it's been 1,000 years since he's played for Ottawa, but Zibanejad has that slight revenge angle there. Obviously, being a former Sens player, so like that. I don't mind taking a stab at one of the young guys. Cooley has 2 goals in his last 3, so I didn't look at his price, but that's another guy. Like I think it's probably worth going down the lineup a little bit in this game if you're feeling so inclined, just to get some value because that line's been flying. So on the Sens side, I had I don't know if I want to do this, but Kachuk has been firing right, so 5 shots is a lot against, especially against this Rangers team, who is
Yeah.
pretty good overall defensively. But that is a plus money, plus 128 for 5 shots. And I had Giroux circled for a point, 7 points in his last 8 versus them. Obviously, a good history against them, just being from Philly historically. and he has 3 goals and 3 assists in his last 3 games. So I mean, he's been on fire. So I don't mind, especially given Shesterkin's shortcomings recently, looking there for props.
Yeah, that Giroux point always seems to be pretty reasonably priced, and he has hit a ton this season, so I don't mind going back there. You mentioned Panarin has a great history against this Ottawa Senators squad. You look at his two line mates on that first line, and Lafreniere kind of sticks out to me. He has 5 points in his last 5 home games. He's hitting 7 of his last 9 overall, and he's hitting each of his last 3 versus Ottawa. I think he gets involved on the scoreboard tonight. You can grab his point for over a half a point at minus 130 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I think there's some value there. I kind of see this being the total set at 6 due to the under. So they're expecting goals. I don't know if this is going to be exactly a shootout given the goaltender matchup with Allmark and Shesterkin, but I do see the Rangers probably at least scoring 3 tonight, and I think Lafreniere can get on the board through that. So I'm going to take his over half a point at minus 130. Any other looks here? It's kind of a weird game, right? Like, I don't. Both goaltenders on paper have been great. Have been good, but again, the total being set so low, it kind of, I don't know, for me at least, it definitely plays a factor when handicapping these games of, do you expect points to happen? If not, kind of shy away from some of those markets.
Well, yeah, it's weird too because like even though there's 2 very good goalies that are playing in this game, this is 2 offenses that have been really clicking too.
Yep.
So I mean, Ottawa just scored 8 goals the last game. Rangers have been known to put up like 4 or 5 goals with ease as well. So I mean, it's a little scary to take an under just given that. Like obviously, it's like give and take here, but I just think, especially given what happened with the Rangers that last game, taking that loss against Washington, being a divisional game like that, I can see them scoring like 4 or 5 goals here. I think this is going to be more of a high scoring game. So I kind of lean the over actually, even though we have 2 very good goaltenders in that.
Yeah, they got off to a really slow start in that one. I think they were down 3-1 in the first period. So yeah, it feels like a bounce back spot for the Rangers. But again, I just don't feel entirely confident in backing them. Their money line's minus 192. I think to win in reg, we pull it up here, it's probably going to be around minus 120, minus 130. Yep, minus 120. Yeah, it's a limited slate. I didn't do well at all last night. So again, just trying to kind of be more careful in picking my spots. Got out of October in the plus, which is kind of, I haven't done that the past few years. So at least we're kind of building on a good foundation
Yeah,
to
we'll
start
take
this
it.
season. So you know what? We'll take it. Exactly.
Yep.
Next game up, we have the Islanders at the Sabres. The Sabres are the favorites in this one, minus 118, total set at 5.5. Juice the over at minus 118. The Islanders are already without Duclair. Barzell's now out tonight as well. So their offensive production has really taken a blow to start the season. The Sabres are kind of in that weird spot where they haven't necessarily played horrible. They got a bad bounce to start the year with the Global Series, playing the Devils twice in a row, coming off a loss to Florida. But again, we kind of felt like that was going to be a bounce back spot for the Panthers as the Sabres defeated them earlier in the month. And we always talk about that as well, of when teams play so close together, if Team A wins the first time, you're going to kind of lean more towards Team B, especially if it wasn't upset in the first game. So before that, yeah, the Sabres won 3 in a row. The Islanders right now on a 3-game losing streak, dropped games to Anaheim and Columbus and Florida as well. I hate to say it. This feels like a spot where I'm going to back the Sabres.
You're going to do it?
I'm going to do it at minus 118. It's fairly priced. I think this is going to be a tight game. But the Sabres have kind of turned it around. Their 5-on-5 play has been better. They finally scored on the power play, which has been an absolute joke. In the last 2 games, they've gotten 2 power play goals. So maybe that can kind of spark their offensive production. Levi's going to get the nod. And it's also interesting. So they switched up their second and third lines. Cousins is moved off the center position. He's now going to be on the wing with McLeod and Greenway. Quinn, who's a winger, is going to go to that third line with Zucker and Krebs. Before the last game, it was Cousins, Krebs, and Quinn all on one line. So I like them splitting up Cousins and Quinn to try to get them going. Both of them have had a kind of a disastrous start to the season. Quinn obviously was injury ridden last year, but in the flashes or the games that he did play, he did show flashes of kind of he could develop into a bona fide NHL player. So I'm going to back the Sabres tonight. Owen Power and Jason Zucker, too, have also been just crushing their point props. They're both at plus money, so I may dabble in one of those. Probably going to go towards that Zucker route. Now that he's playing with Krebs and Quinn, I think he can kind of provide some veteran presence on that line for them, and maybe they get going. He's also on the first power play unit, and if that gets going as well, I'll probably go there. So Sabres, Zucker point, maybe Owen Power point, but Franco, what looks did you have in this game?
So I hate to have to do this because of just these two teams and the way this matchup appears, but that trend that we've, or at least I've been riding, has just been money, and I'm not gonna fade it here, even though it's feels like an under type of game. So, team coming off a shutout loss, usually the next game you see offense, especially in the first period. So I'm going to take that first period over 1.5. It's very bettable at minus 115. Again, I like hate it because of what the teams are, but we had it last night between Boston and Carolina, and the first period was 4-1. So, yeah, I mean, it's just been cashing. So the games tend to go over, and the first periods tend to go over. So there's no way I'm gonna avoid it, just given how good it's been to start the season. Even though these are two teams I don't really love for overs, especially the Islanders, with the loss of Barzal on top of all their pieces they've lost. So that's going to be my main play here. I do kind of lean the Sabres. Again, that loss of Barzal just feels really devastating for this team and the offense behind them. So I think what I'm probably going to do, though, for Sprinkle, instead of taking a side here, is take a tie, because I just feel like the way these teams play, like I could see us starting out like with a nice, good first period, hopefully cashing that over 1.5 in the first, and then more slowing down later in the game. Maybe see like a 2-2 final or something like that, go to overtime. So you can get a draw at plus 340 at some books. So like that a lot. Just good value, of course. And the player I had circled, again, I don't really love goals here, but that was Dahlin. Dahlin points minus 110, assists is plus 130. Very good history versus them. 6 assists in his last 9 versus them. So again, don't really love that play just because I don't love a lot of goals in this game. But I think if it's going to be anyone, I think it's going to be more Sabres player props that are going to be landing if you're going to be doing point props.
Yeah, and I kind of stayed off the Islanders point props as well, with Barzal being out of the lineup. Kind of their top two lines are going to switch up a little bit. Yeah, I just don't love that. And also going more towards your first period over, Levi is going to get the nod tonight. So I think that kind of plays into we could see a high scoring affair here despite the Islanders' offensive woes. Like Levi hasn't been the better of the two goalies between him and UPL. So I could see this game kind of getting out of hand. Not getting out of hand, but I could see it hitting the over. I could see a 3-3 draw heading into overtime, or maybe a 4-2 win for the Sabres. Hopefully. That's what we're going for tonight. 4-2 win for the Sabres. Zucker gets on the board. Maybe Power does, and Dahlin as well. So any
Sounds
other
good.
looks here? Yeah, I think it's good. Also,
I mean,
oh, yeah, go ahead.
The only other thing I would say is like, it's always worth a sprinkle if you see a guy moving the top line. And again, this isn't the game I want to be targeting a bunch of props for, but Pajot is moving up to the top line with Horvat and Anders Lee. So, I mean, maybe sprinkle his goal prop. I don't think you're going to see his point prop or anything like that, but I would assume that would be a pretty nice number. So again, not in love with it or anything like that, but I always think it's worth a sprinkle. Like, even if it's a few bucks, just to have a little bit of action on it, because you're just put in a good situation when you're moved to that top line, and it's always good value. You're not getting plus 150 on this guy. You're getting plus 350, 370 type of that. So like that.
So who moves up to the first line power play unit? Siplikov?
Siblikov has been on the top power play, so it's Palmieri.
He was on
I
the
think.
second with Lee, Holmstrom, and Pajot, which is the second line. second
Oh,
unit
okay,
power
they
play.
moved him down. He started the
So,
season on the top line, Siplikov,
yeah.
top power play,
So
so
he's moving up to the
he's
top
back
power
up.
play unit. So maybe look at his point. I don't know what that is tonight. I don't know if they offer it.
Yeah, I mean, he has 2 points in his last 3 games, so it's not like he's been terrible. He's one of the only remaining, like, real younger offensive players on this team. I feel like every other offensive player is, like, so old at this point. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that might not be a bad look, but again, this is
Sipakov's
just a
plus 150
yeah, I
for
mean,
a
that's good
point.
value. That's good value. I mean, like,
That's the
you know
price. He's on the top line and top power play unit. This is kind of how the Ross Colton trend started almost too as well, right? Like he got that bump to the first line, played on that first power play unit, and kind of just ran with it. So maybe this is the start of Sipakov's run.
yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah. For everyone watching as well, we kind of added a new graphic here along the right side of the screen. You can kind of see the arrow so you know which game we're talking about. If you do have any questions about previous games that we didn't mention, just be sure to kind of drop a comment in the chat and we can circle back to that. Next game up, we have the Winnipeg Jets traveling to Columbus. Columbus is on a 2-game win streak. They've won 3 of their last 4. They face the Jets, who are 9-1 this season. We don't know who's going to start for the Jets yet. Hellebuck has been doing it 2-1 with Comrie. If that's the case, Comrie's going to get the nod tonight, and Merzlikins has been confirmed for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Merzlikins actually been pretty good in his last 2 games, which but he's streaky, right? He is a streaky goaltender, and that's kind of been his downfall. Where when he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's really bad, and you kind of see those goals against numbers going from 5, 6, that range there. But the Winnipeg Jets are the road favorites in this one, minus 155 on the money line. Over set at 6.5, minus 118. Franco, who do you like? I don't have a ton of plays in this. I kind of just have one, so I'm curious to see how you approach this game.
Yeah, this game is probably my least favorite on the slate, I would say. Um, if I had to take something, I mean, something like Connor Scheifele point parlay is minus 115 doesn't feel too bad. Just given how good Connor has been, especially 9 points in his last 3 is just ridiculous. I don't mind going back to his assist again at plus 120 as well. Not the best history with given this matchup, but um, I mean, I just can't see Columbus getting, they had a shutout last game. Of course, it was against the Highlanders, who we just talked about. But I can't see them shutting out another team. But yeah, I mean, maybe this was like the, Hellebuck had, or sorry, not Hellebuck, Merzlikins had the issues early in the season, and he kind of went on a leave of absence or whatever for a little stretch there. So he's come back and he's looked good since the return. So maybe he kind of, I know he struggled a little bit like with mental issues in the past. Given all the stuff that's happened on this team, it's I don't blame him. So um, maybe he found the secret sauce, and that this is his turnaround here. His big knock was always that he struggled at home too. So to get a shutout at home against the Islanders is a pretty big step forward for him. So I think honestly, I lean more towards the under here. I think that would probably be my favorite play of this game. But yeah, I think for the most part, I'm going to be just staying off this one.
Yeah, I like the under as well, but it's a weird situation, right? Because Winnipeg and Columbus's offenses have been good as of late. And now we look at the goaltending matchup. Comrie's allowed 3 in his 2 starts this year, whereas Leakins looks better. And both these teams have been pretty good defensively as well. So it's kind of like, who wins that battle? Do the offenses prevail tonight? Or do these teams kind of just sit back and don't really push the pace? Again, I lean the under here, but this is a game I'm just not betting tonight at all. So moving along, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Minnesota Wild. Pulling up the odds right now. Here we go. So Tampa Bay is minus 102 on the money line to the road dog. Minnesota minus 118 at home. Total set at 6, minus 115 to the over. Tampa Bay is on a back-to-back tonight. They defeated Colorado 5-2 last night. They continue their win streak, which is up to 3 games. Minnesota is also red hot, winning 5 of their last 6. But this is a spot that you have mentioned. I think it was you or Betsky. They returned from a 7-game road trip, and this is their first game at home.
Damn, I didn't see that when I was looking through this game earlier. So yeah, this is typically a fade spot when that happens.
Was it a 7-game road trip? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a long road trip, and
7-game road trip, and they return home here.
especially when they win. Like when you win a lot on that road trip, usually you come
They
back.
went 6-1.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
5-2. Getting
Usually you
points
come
6 or
back,
7.
you're fat and happy, you get to see the misses, you're having a good time and feeling on top of the world, and then you get smashed. But I don't know. So now I'm kind of concerned because I was leaning wild here, to be honest with you. Minus 118 feels like a good price. And I looked at like the historic matchups between these two teams. Minnesota's won 9 of the last 11 versus them. I know it's dating back, like way back, because these aren't divisional teams. So, obviously when you get far back, it's like you're talking about players like Kyle Granlund playing for Minnesota and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
1,000 years ago. But
If
I
you
just
look
thought
at
that was interesting, especially with with Tampa Bay's like weakness on the road in general.
Yeah, it's a weird spot, right? Because Minnesota's coming off a 7-game road streak. Tampa Bay's on a back-to-back. I mean, historically, looking back to 2023, Tampa Bay has won 3 of the last 2. But we saw this with the Kings Vegas game, right? The Kings were favored at home, and it kind of felt like a trap line here. This almost feels like it's reversing, where you're like Minnesota should be favored by more. They've played great this season. Tampa Bay's on a back-to-back. Minnesota should almost be that minus 125, minus 130 range. They're minus 118. Maybe if you get plus money on Tampa tonight, I may sprinkle. It is one of the later games, so I do have some time to try to figure it out. But again, another weird spot. Nope. Yeah, 8:00 game. So I don't know. I don't know with this one. I had Hedman shots on goals circled. Minnesota, this was kind of my path for when I took Letang a few nights ago, but Minnesota allows either the second or the first most shots on goal to defensemen this season. And Hedman hasn't necessarily, I'm trying to pull it up now. I don't think he's been on a huge tear as of late, but pulling it up.
He's been decent though, right? Like I know we hit him a couple games ago.
Yeah, so he's missed in each of his last 3 games. Before that, he hit in 5 straight. In his last 3 games, he's only had 2 1-2 shots on goal, but he's had 5 shot attempts in each of those games. So he's still shooting, not necessarily the attempts that he was when he was hitting, which is 10, 6, 9, 7, and 10. And head-to-head against Minnesota, he's hitting 3 of his last 5. And then on the road this season, he's hitting 4 of his last 6, 3 of his last 4, plus 105 tonight. I think there's value there.
Yeah.
I just, again, it's just going back to that Minnesota being leaky to defensemen. You can look up the chart on Hockey Viz, and even Shot Props' website kind of puts that into a better visual representation. But yeah, Minnesota has been super leaky to them. So I think Hedman gets on, at least hits 3 tonight at plus 105. That's enough value for me to take that.
I like it. Yeah, I think that's a good look, regardless of what side you're on, because I think just given those numbers, especially with Minnesota being so leaky to D-men, so I like that. One more thing to consider here is, I mean, I don't know how much this plays into it, but Tampa was coming off of the game against Colorado, which is played in altitude, so that might also be a thing that can play into this. With that game being a late game yesterday. And then traveling to Minnesota, I could see this being a game where like late they kind of fall apart. They might be able to start out nice, but I think I'm going to take Minnesota. I may be falling for the trap, but I think there's more negative things going against Tampa than there are against Minnesota. Let's put it that way. And I think you're getting a decent price on them here. So the props I had circled though were Kaprizov over 1.5 points. He has 9 in his last 6 against them. 3 of those coming on the power play as well. And I know Tampa's power or penalty kill has been not great. I don't think they've been like terrible, but 72%.
Yeah, they've allowed goals in 4 of the last 5 games.
Yeah, so I think that could be a good look. Maybe you go Kaprizov power play point even. Might
Yeah,
not that might be a better way to get value.
this season they've allowed a power play goal in every game besides 2, and
Oh,
they've given up at least they've taken at least 3 penalties per game pretty much every time.
nice.
So
So yeah,
that feeds right into it. I like
I
that.
like that a lot. I like Boldy as well. Looks really good. Same thing for the power play point angle as well as you could maybe parlay him for a point with like Erickson Ek, who's his typically his line mate. You're going to get good value there if you just parlay them together. So yeah, I like a lot more of the Minnesota angles. I feel like in general, Gensel has a really good history against Minnesota as well. 10 points in his last 7, so that could be another angle to look at. And also Kucherov 8 points in his last 5. So I lean more towards goals here. I think when everything's said and done, I think my main plays are going to be more Minnesota backed leans. So yeah, I think this is going to be a good game. I think this will be a fun one to watch. I think there'll be goals.
I'm looking on Daily Faceoff right now. They said Vasilevsky's likely to start. He started each of the last 4 games though, and they're
Oh,
coming off a back to back.
good. That's even better then. Maybe he's
It
nice and
feels
tired.
like Jonas Johansson tonight. It
Mm,
feels like a Jonas Johansson night. I know they said he was the first goalie off in morning skate, but he's got to
interesting.
be gassed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm
I could.
liking
I
wild
don't
props
mind
even
the
more
over
then.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the over is only at 6, and it depends too. Gustafson, if he starts, I think he starting tonight. I know Fleury started last game.
Yeah, it should be Gustafson.
Gustafson, so he allowed 6
He's
in his
been
last
good,
start
but
too.
yeah.
He has. He had a leaky game last one. Yep, he's confirmed tonight. So at 6, I don't hate it. You always got that
Yeah.
option to push.
I honestly think this might
All
be
right,
one of the
yeah,
better games to watch. This might be one of the better games to watch tonight, even though it might not be one that you like initially circle as you're breaking down the slate. Like you know, you got Islanders and Sabres and Winnipeg and Columbus. You know, I'm like, I don't know about those games, but this one feels good.
yeah. No, it should be a great game too, and it starts at 8 too, which I think it's a standalone game at 8 tonight. Because the Devils and Flames start at 9, so we'll get into that game right now. We have the New Jersey Devils taking on the Calgary Flames. The Flames are plus 145 in the money line, Devils minus 175. New Jersey's on a 2-game win streak. Calgary, after a great start to the season, has kind of fallen off the wagon here, losing 4 straight. Franco, who do you have here? I have 2 shots on gold prop in this matchup. I think both teams are pretty leaky. So that's where I'm going to kind of gear my betting card towards. But any looks for you?
First guy I'm looking at without even breaking down this game before I did anything, I just want to be involved with Nico Hischier just because he's been fantastic to
Yep.
start the season.
Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
and then I go to look a little closer, and you see, oh, 5 games played, 9 points across those 5, 4 goals, 5 assists, and averaging almost 4 goal shots on goal along that stretch as well. So I mean, give me all the Heischer props. Definitely goal scorer just because he's been red hot there. Like he was never a guy that was a goal scorer type of person in my mind, or a player to target really. But this year he's just been fantastic. I actually forgot to take him the other day, and even though I mentioned him on the show, so not making that mistake again. His 2 point prop on DraftKings right now is plus 270. Like I said, 9 points in his last 5 against them, 5 points in his last 3 overall. So I don't mind taking a stab at that nice number. Plus 270 just feels like fantastic value to me. Um, on the Calgary side, I have our good buddy Blake Coleman. Um, so
Ooh.
he's a former Devil, of course. So you know I'm always looking at those revenge narratives. He hasn't particularly been popping just in general recently, but guy always gets a ton of minutes, plays in like all situations, has that former player narrative, and I just kind of want to be involved there. His point prop is plus 105. I don't mind maybe sprinkling his goal as well at plus 255. So Just again that former player angle. But yeah, I think mainly I want to be involved with Devils props when everything's said and done here. And just the offense has just been fantastic recently. Brad as well. Brad assist looks pretty damn good. I think that's bettable pretty much every game, and he's on one of those runs again where um, he's just getting assists like basically every game, and that's -110. So lots of
Yeah.
value.
Calgary allows the fifth most shots on goal to forward. So again, I'm on Nico Hischier as well. He missed in his last game, but still had 4 attempts against Calgary. He's hit in each of his last 4. So I don't mind that. And I think he is a road dog, if I'm remembering correctly. He's hitting 2 of his last 3 on the road. At home, he's hit. So regardless whether he's a home dog or road dog, he's just hitting. So I like Nico Hischier over 2.5 shots on goal, -135 tonight on DraftKings Sportsbook. You can use promo code THPN for $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. And again, if you're going to any of these games tonight or in the future, check out Game Time. You get $20 off your first purchase. You just put in the referral code THPN. $20 right there for you. So check it out. It's free money right there. Be sure to use Game Time. Any other looks tonight, Franco? Interesting slate, 5 games.
No, I think we pretty much covered it. Dougie Hamilton's another player that looks pretty good, just given his history for points and shots. I know he hasn't really been hitting his shots, but point looks good. May even go assist to get a little more value. 3 assists in his last 3 games, and then 3 points in his last 3 versus them. So, again, I feel like this could be like maybe a Devils team total over 3.5 type of game as well. Like maybe that's another angle to go for because that's going to be better value than trying to get them on the money line at -175 or taking a puck line or something like that or reg line. So I want to see what that's at. But yeah, I think that's a way to go. Like when you see a game like this and you think you want to be involved on a side like that, you want to be on New Jersey's side, and you see -175, you can get their team total tonight at -125 for 4 goals. So if they're going to win, I don't see them winning 2-1 or something like that. I think they're going to be winning 4-3, 4-2, 5-2 type of game. So
yeah,
give me that team total as well as opposed to a money line bet on this team.
Yeah. All right. Before we wrap up, do you want to recap your card? I can go. I can go first if you want while you get things settled. So in the Ottawa New York Rangers game, I have Lafreniere over 0.5 point at -130. In the New York Islanders Sabres game, I have Jason Zucker point at +124 and the Sabres money line at -118. In Winnipeg Columbus, I like Sean Monahan over 2.5 shots on goal at even money. Tampa Bay, Minnesota, I have Victor Hedman over 2.5 shots on goal at +105. And then in the last game of the night between the Devils and the Flames, I have Nico Hischier over 2.5 shots on goal. Franco, what is your card for tonight?
All right, let's go here. We got in that Senators Rangers game, I have Kreider's advantage at point at +168. Definitely leaning over there. I don't think I'm going to pull a trigger on that as I finalize this card. I think Giroux point as well looks really good at -120, I believe, or -130. So take that as well. The Jets Blue Jackets game, I think I'm just going to leave that one alone, to be honest with you. Just don't really want to be involved there. I think there's just better spots. Islanders Sabres, I'm going to take that first period over 1.5 -110. Maybe I'll go Darlene point again. That's another like fringe type play for me there, but probably won't get there. I think I'm just going to leave it. Lightning Wild, I'm going to take the Wild money line at -118. Kaprizov over 1.5 points or power play point. I'll see how I'm feeling in an hour or two. And then as well as maybe like a Boldy and Eriksson Ek point parlay, or maybe a Boldy assist or Boldy power play point, something like that. I want to be involved in Minnesota props and the top 2 lines. So, and then for the Devils Flames, I think I'm going to take that Devils team total over. I like that a lot at -125 for over 3.5 goals for the Devils. Hischier goal at +150, and I think I'm going to hop on probably Hischier over 2 points, or 2+ points, which was +270, and maybe even that Hischier shot at over 2.5 with you as well. He's just been fantastic, man. I think he's the guy you want to target in this situation. if I'm going to go Flames prop, I'll probably go Blake Coleman. But that game being the later game at 9, I'll see how I'm feeling, how the rest of the cards breaking out, and then that would determine whether I want to add more or just stay with Heischer.
Yeah, if the card does go well, the two other looks I did have in that Devils Flames game was Devils in regulation. It's minus 105 on DraftKings, and then Connor Zary over 1.5 shots on goal. He's just been a wagon this year. So if everything goes well, I'll probably place those two bets as well. But anything else to add before we wrap up here? Quick episode today, 5-game slate. I think we pretty much covered it all.
No, I think that's it. I know we have a new sponsor, Raycon. I believe they're offering 30% off during Black Friday and Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving, right? So they offer stuff like sound stuff, AirPods type style earbuds. So if you guys are following or want to add something like that to your arsenal for listening to the podcast or music and stuff like that, check them out. Pretty good deal, pretty good price, competitive compared to the other brands out there that you'll see.
Yeah, it's a good call. You can go to raycon.com/THPN for $30 off your first purchase. So be sure to check them out. Also, if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go subscribe. And we also started an Instagram recently. It's Expected Bets 4. So go follow that. We're going to have tons of exclusive plays on there and more content coming out. So think that wraps us up for tonight. We appreciate everyone for listening. Hope everyone has a great weekend. We have tons of sports on, horse racing, college football, NFL. Should be a great weekend. So enjoy it, and we will talk to you guys on Monday.